All right, hey everyone, Straw Hat here again. This is part two of my Dungeon Series walkthrough, and today we're going to be focusing on Mausoleum. Like Aegis Keep, I believe Mausoleum to be a fairly easy dungeon, at least for now. I hear that there's a level 4 in the works, but it currently only has 3 levels. Level 1 is standard, just like every other dungeon's level 1. There's no poisons, there's no bleeds, there might be a small disease tick. It's nothing crazy. But for those newer players who don't know how to get to Mausoleum, which is right here in the middle of this swamp in between all the mountains, you could head on over to Horseshoe Bay like you did before to get to Aegis Keep. This runs a little bit longer though. I'd say it takes about 3 minutes on horse to get here. It's not too bad. You're going to run through some area. There might be some PKs, there might not. There's no crazy monsters. But you're going to be going out the northwestern gate of Horseshoe Bay, following the path all the way through, up into the mountains, through that byway, around another swamp, and then finally to the Mausoleum. Again, about 3 minutes, not too bad. If you have camping, I'd set this location as one of your markers. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm not going to spend too much time on level 1. I'm going to show you the moon gates real quick. There's 3 of them. They're all bunched together. It's fairly straightforward. If you run into PKs or find yourself as a newer player struggling down here, you've got moon gate number 2 there. One is right south of the entrance where we walked in, and then one right north of it. Now, there's a few ways to get down to level 2. I'm going to show you the way I take, but I'll also let you know if you look up in the upper right-hand corner of the mini map here, there's a few stairs that will go down to level 2. Most people take these, but I prefer going directly northwest once you enter level 1, right through the contested room. Most mobs on level 1, by the way, if you're a newer player, will drop about 40 to 60 gold. It's nothing crazy. They're easy to kill. It's a great farming spot to begin with. Most reds will leave you alone too if you're a newer player. There are some jerks out there, but most of them will leave you alone. So now we're effectively on level 2 by going up those stairs, teleporting across, and making it over here to where the ruins of teleportation are. Those are a little dangerous, and I'll tell you why in a second. But here is the only moon gate that I would say you'd be hitting on level 2 if you need to get it and make a fast escape. And there's a room right by it where there's a vampire spawn. I'd say this is the second hardest mob on level 2 because you will find elder vampires, just one of them in a further down section of level 2 that we're not going to cover today. It's more for advanced players, people with higher aspect, and you're really not going to find yourself farming it. It's not very efficient. But if you're a moderate level player and you find yourself breezing through level 1, want to make your way down to 2, most mobs down on level 2 are going to drop about 100 to 200 gold, except for the vampire here who'll drop about 500 and I believe 75 regs. Now, as a newer or moderate level player, I'd recommend opening the door here, tagging any unit you can that you want to pull out, killing it one at a time, and then getting to the vampire, or if you're capable, pulling the vampire out on its own first. If you see here, I'm attacking the Eldritch. Hopefully it should follow me. Hopefully I didn't get the vampire, but if I did, I did. But anyways, kill one at a time, eventually make your way to the vampire, and you've got yourself about 800 gold with this room right here. All right, so let's go ahead and make our way on over to the second spot on level 2 I would recommend farming. Right across these teleporters here. Now, if you're playing on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, even Friday night, say it's between the hours of 8 p.m., 12 a.m., be careful. Reds like to hide themselves here on this middle platform. What'll happen is you'll hit this teleporter right here, find yourself trying to walk forward, and you won't be able to move because there might be 2 to 15 different reds hidden with invisibility or their hiding skill waiting to pounce. I've had this happen to me a few times, mainly by the Orc Guild. It's all good fun. I laugh it off. They're having a great time. I'm having a good time. Nothing to sweat. Run right through, should be good. So second room right here, it's full of calamities, reanimators, zealots, eldritch experiments, insane reanimators, and abominations. The average mob in here is going to drop about 100 gold. I'm going to go ahead and walk myself down to 3 for a moment since I'm running through without defending myself. But that room up there should net you about 2,000 gold if you were to clear the whole thing. And if you're a beginner player, maybe moderate, you're going to find yourself not being capable of farming that to the point where they do not respawn before you finish the last mob. So it's a good spot to farm if you're a newer player, in my opinion. You'll cycle through the whole thing there. And I think the most difficult mob would be the abominations here. They do a move where they throw body parts at you and will hit you kind of hard with melee. Nothing crazy. Now, as a newer or moderate level player, I don't recommend running down into this secret 2.5 room. There are reanimated demons, dragons, cyclops, a master reanimator, and calamities down here. The dragons and the cyclops themselves, not too big a deal. They drop about 300 gold apiece. Aspect level 2, maybe 3 should easily be able to handle those, along with the reanimator, if you LOS pull them one at a time, which I highly recommend doing. What I mean by that is tagging, say, Cyclops as an example. He's now aggroed onto me. He's going to be chasing me around the corner here, and we're going to go ahead and stand right here until he makes his way on over and then kill him from there. Highly recommend pulling one at a time and using line of sight whenever you can as a newer player or even moderate player. It's going to save you more often than you realize. All right, so let's make our way down to level 3. 2 ways to get down to level 3, through these Devourer Beetles right there or right by the Abomination here. I typically go by the Abomination and start by running directly through the middle entrance here. This will take you to a location where you'll find 2 Banshees and the Moon Gate out of the level 3. This is the only Moon Gate out of level 3. If you're running from reds, you find yourself, you're about to die, whether it's disease, bleeds, poisons, this is where you're going to want to run. Get out as soon as possible. What spawns at the entrance here are apparitions, I believe. They have high armor, medium high health, don't do a ton of damage, and they might charge at you. Nothing special, easily handled. The Banshees are a little bit of a different story. They have high magic and high armor. Don't have a ton of health, but if you're a Dexter, you're not going to be hitting them very hard unless you can crush their armor. They drop about 250 gold apiece, some regs, maybe some scrolls, potentially some magic items. Nothing too crazy. But as a moderate player or fairly newer player, you could absolutely farm these without too much difficulty. Now we're going to head north, and we'll start by going and exploring Maws 3 this direction. This first room up here, what you're going to find is a bunch of Shade Wolves like that one right there, who popped up out of nowhere on me. This room right here has about 4 Shade Wolves, a Night Stalker, and a Reanimated Knight. Easily farmed. They drop about 100 to 200 gold apiece. This room here, Corpse Bride, Shade Wolf, Vampire Bat, and a Vampire Countess. The one you're looking for is the Vampire Countess, though. That Vampire Countess is going to drop about 500 to 600 gold apiece. Not a ton, but it's definitely worth killing if you're down here farming. I see a straw hat on this guy's corpse. Should I take it? I think I have to. I'm going to take it. I'm going to leave everything else, but I'm taking the straw hat. That's mine. Alright, so getting back up to the Vampire Countess, I want to kill that for you real quick just to show you the difficulty level. They don't have a ton of armor, they don't have a ton of health, but they have high level magic. They can dump on you. Explosion, Flame Strike, you'll find yourself down to 20%. Don't panic. If you have enough damage, you can take it down. I'd say stay there, punch it till it's dead. As a newer player, you're obviously going to be clearing most of these mobs here, but in this room, you'll get a Shadow Guard, medium level magic, not too much melee damage, but high armor. That being the case, you're not going to kill it very fast. As a newer player, they may not be worth going for if the dungeon's crowded. If it isn't crowded, you find yourself, running around with 2 or 3 other people, go ahead, kill the Shadow Guard. You shouldn't really have to worry about contesting for it. This room here, you'll find a Vampire. Slightly more difficult than the Vampire Countesses. The reason for that is they have far more health and virtually the same high-level magic that they do. They can also feed on you, which will hit you for about 10 to 12 damage a tick. It's nothing crazy, but as a newer player, you might find it difficult. Now, with this section here, this is where you want to be careful. You're going to have an Elder Vampire Countess and an Elder Vampire here. The Countess is the easier of the two, but they drop about 2,000 gold apiece, and what the Countess does is goes invisible the moment you hit her, spawns a Vampire Bat, and then starts dumping on you from a distance. She'll come back into range, and you only have to really worry about her high-level spells. She doesn't do anything special other than that. So I'd say these are worth killing if you find that you're capable of doing so. But as a newer player, I wouldn't even recommend attempting to do so. They can dump on you and kill you very quickly without realizing. Now, the one you really have to worry about is the Elder Vampire himself. He has an ability where he turns into a wolf and will charge you for half your health minimum. If you have low armor, low aspect, it might even one-shot you. Not only can he do that, he can cast high-level spells just like the Countess. So you get charged and he puts a Flame Strike into you, you're on the ground and someone's looting your corpse. Now, as a moderate player, I'd recommend hitting up this platform here. Reason being is you're going to get a Vampire Countess and a Vampire. An easy way to pull one at a time, which again, I highly recommend as a newer player, is to hit the Vampire Countess and walk right down the stairs into this corner here. Now, I didn't aggro her. I attempted to, but we'll try again really quickly. If I get her, great. Still nothing. Got her now. All right, so you're going to want to step right down in this corner here. She's going to chase you around. And then when she steps right there, you'll be able to hit her. So instead of aggroing the vampire as well, you just got the vampire countess. You can kill her right here. If you're a Dexter, if you're a summoner, run around the LOS here, use your pets. Same thing with a tamer. Bards, you can do what I'm doing right now. It's just a good idea to use this LOS to prevent yourself from pulling something extra that you really don't want to. So I'm not going to bother killing the vampire up there. I'll leave it for someone else, as I'm just trying to show you guys the dungeon today. The next sections you're going to be farming are the vampires up here. Just like the other couple sections, you're going to get a vampire and a vampire countess that spawn here. As a newer player, what I did was tag either the countess or the vampire, whichever was easier in terms of LOS, and then I pulled them right over here. So run, tag, run back, let them chase you down here, and you fight it right here. That way you don't get both at the same time. Having the vampire and vampire countess both feed on you and dump flame strikes into you at the same time is a death sentence. All right. I would recommend avoiding this location as a newer player. The reason I say that, of all the souls in Maus 3, these are the most difficult ones. For some reason, they have the highest level magic you can have as a mob on this section, just like the Elder Vampire Countesses. They have high armor and the same amount of health as all the other souls in this area. I'd say about Vampire Countess level health. And they only drop about 400 gold and some rags. What happens when you fight one of these is you think you're LOSing, but you're really not. You're going to find one's going to spawn here. They'll be walking through here with Shade Wolves, and they'll drop a static fire damage on the ground. And like we all know, don't stand in the fire, right? That'll tick you for about 10 damage a tick, if not more, depending on your resistances. And I just want to showcase that for you real quick. There it is right there. And as he casts more spells, he will drop them left and right. I've seen him drop them every couple seconds to never during a fight. You don't know what you're going to run into. But the worst case scenario is killing one of these guys and 3 more spawn. You think, okay, I'll just pull it around the corner here, but then one spawns here and it sees right through you, and you've got 3 or 4 of them dumping on you and dropping little pillars of fire there for you to step on. I'll kill you pretty quick. But if you're a moderate to higher level player, those are a good farm. Newer moderate, I wouldn't recommend it. Same thing with this location. Unless, again, you're a summoner or a peacemaker down here, you'll be able to run on in here, sick your pets on them, and not worry about it. If you're a Dexter, it's a little bit more difficult. What you're going to find is these corpse purgers, along with these bound souls, all can bleed you. The bleed stacks. So if you start hitting a bound soul, you kill it, you think, hey, killed the bound soul, no problem, 80% health, I'm going to go over and fight another one. You'll find that that one's going to start stacking bleeds on you too, and those numbers that are ticking above your head are going to get out of control. You'll be dead on the ground before you know it. So unless you have some form of mitigation as a newer player, or you're a summoner or a peacemaker, I really don't recommend going down into the bound souls or the forgotten souls just yet. Now, on the flip side, this is the section you do want to be farming. It's the tormented souls. There's nothing special about these guys. They have virtually no armor, they have low health, and they drop the same amount of gold as all the other souls. They have one special ability, which is a root. It might do 25 damage to you, and they'll punch you for maybe 6 damage, even with low armor. I'd highly recommend farming these as a newer player. Even someone with level 1 or 2 aspect can easily do this. I'd argue someone who's unaspected can farm these as well. Now we're almost done with Maus 3, and we've gone over the Elder Vampires, the Souls, the regular Vampires. The final unit we'll be talking about is the Demon here. It's a spawn that everybody checks when they come through here, and it's not too difficult for what it gives you. I'd say it's somewhere between the Vampire and the Elder Vampire Countess, but nowhere near the level of the Elder Vampire Countess. His major damaging ability is some form of body part bleed. He'll throw a bunch of body parts on the ground, and if you're nearby, he'll sick them on you, and they'll just be flying at you like some telepath and do maybe 30 damage total. But he can cast Flame Strike, so when that occurs and he hits you with that body part damage along with the Flame Strike, it could dump you down pretty low. But usually if you're aspect 3 or 4, you can down this guy if you're by yourself. Just be a little careful. If you're 5 or 6, it shouldn't be a problem at all. And he drops 800 to 1200 gold to kill, magic items, and about 100 rags. Now, that's not the most dangerous unit in this path, though. It's right here where these guys are waiting. It's the Blightmare. The Blightmare is dangerous because of one thing. It can apply a disease to you. That disease will tick you for about 12 damage per tick every few seconds, if not every 2 seconds. When I was a newer player, I found the Blightmare to be the biggest pain in this entire place, only because I wanted to continue farming, but that disease would prevent me from doing so because I'd have to check my health constantly. The disease itself lasts about 35-40 seconds. So you can see where that would be a pain. You're not going to be able to farm the Forgotten Souls, or rather Tormented Souls, as often as you would like if you're sitting there watching your health. So, as a newer player, in Maws 3, you'll find there's a lot of people running around. Leave the Blightmare to someone else if you can. Now, if you have Chivalry, go ahead, kill it. Use the ability that reduces disease damage by half. You're comfortable, go ahead and hit those Forgotten Souls as well. This is the final section of Maws 3 that I would recommend farming. It doesn't get hit as often. It's the Shadow Guard and the Master Reanimator. As a newer player, I highly recommend running right here, trying to get aggro. Okay, he's casting. I clearly have aggro. Run back around the corner and LOS, pull one at a time. The Master Reanimators can dump on you. It's not frequent, but they can drop you pretty low if you're a newer player. So I highly recommend you pull one at a time once again. And that's pretty much it for Maws 3. If you guys have any questions regarding Maws 3, drop a comment, let me know. If you have a suggestion for the next dungeon I should do, let me know as well. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good day.